talk to you about a couple things today. One is, do you need a CDL to do haul and tow? And two, personal conveyance. This is the second time I've done the video. The first time I done it, put it up. Subscriber Chase Finn, he pointed out to me part of the FMCSA that I guess I was really unaware of because of my days doing Hotshot. My trailer was always over 10,000 pound GVWR. Okay, so what he pointed out was in the video I talked about the GVWR of like my truck is 19,500. And I was talking to a subscriber, Luis, who was looking at a truck. He was either going to go with a 4,500 or a 5,500. And the truck, the 4,500 had, I think, a 14,000 pound GVWR, and the 5,500 had the 19.5. And he was worried about being over that 26,000 mark and requiring a CDL. And me too, I assumed that, well, like the load I had at the house, my truck's a 19.5 GVWR, and I had a 7,900 pound GVWR trailer behind it, which put me at 27,400. So one would assume CDL because you're over 26,001. Okay, well, what was pointed out to me was in the FMCSA, and I read it. So for you guys that are doing it and don't have a CDL, this part of the FMCSA would be something you'd probably want to keep handy in order to show. So, like my days of hotshotting, my dually was a 13,000 pound or 13,000 GVWR, and my trailer was 25.9. So obviously I was well over the 26,000 pound and needed a CDL. So for that reason, I put the assumption that 19.5 on my truck, 7,900 on the trailer I was towing put me at 27.4, which would require you to have a CDL. He pointed out, and I'm grateful that he pointed out because I don't want to put out bad information, like his truck is 25.9 GVWR, which technically means if you were going off that over 26, he could never pull a trailer. So what the FMCSA says is any truck that's GVWR is below 26,000 with a trailer below 10,000, then it does not require you to have a CDL. So you can have a GVWR at right at 36,000, just under 36,000. So let's say his is 25.9, he's towing a 99 trailer. That's going to put him at what? 25, 35, 35.8, is that right? 25.9, so it'd be 35.9 take off. Yeah, 35.8, 35,800, and he doesn't require him to have a CDL. So one part of the FMCSA. So guys, that's why I love when you guys comment. I love when you guys watch the videos. I love when you guys chime in because I'm out here to learn things too. So that's great to know because I don't want to put out bad information. I don't want to put out information that makes guys think they need a CDL when they don't, and I don't want to put out information that they need a CDL when they don't. So back to that, you can have a truck all the way up to 26,000 GVWR as long as you don't pull a trailer over 10,000 GVWR. You don't need a CDL. So. And you, in doing haul and tow, you're not going to tow a trailer over 10,000 GVWR unless your company has you pull a 30-footer or something, because you're getting into a big trailer when you're getting up into GVWR that high. So that's good to know. That will clarify and probably help a lot of people that don't have a CDL that doesn't think they can do this. And that staying below that 26,000 also goes for air brakes. So if you do not have a commercial driver's license, you can operate a truck 26,000 pounds and below with air brakes without a CDL. Now, one catch to that is if you have a CDL that has an air brake restriction, then you cannot operate that non-CDL air brake truck because you have a CDL with an air brake restriction. So you're kind of getting punished for having a CDL there. But that's good information to know. I'm thankful he reached out and we're getting the proper information out, because I looked it up and read it myself because I wanted to make sure before I redid the video. So that's great to know. That's real helpful with, guys that may be wanting to get in, and you're looking at those trucks that have the high GVWR and you don't have a CDL. So the second part of this I want to talk about, I've seen a lot of talk here lately, is personal conveyance and people and how they use it. There's a lot that's left to interpretation from the FMCSA. So when it's left for us to interpret it, it's also left for the DOT officers to interpret it. So you might run into one that interprets this way, and the next day one that interprets that way. You get put out of service, you have to do a 10-hour break, something like that, because you did personal conveyance when you shouldn't have, in their eyes. At Horizon, the policy is you log from the time you leave the house to the time you get back home. So there was a gentleman that worked for us, and he had that question is, hey, I'm delivering, I don't have enough time to make it home after I deliver. Do I have to do a 34-hour restart, or can I personal convey home? Of course, half the people on there is like, oh, you're an independent contractor, you can personal convey home. And the other half is, no, you're still under dispatch till you return back home. You can't personal convey. Well, according to Horizon's policy, he couldn't anyway. Even if it didn't, if the FMCSA said he could, Horizon's policy is you log from home back to home. So, but to take into consideration on that, I left my house at 4 o'clock Thursday afternoon. I got up to Indiana after fuel and taking my break and all that. It was about 2:30 in the morning. Of course, it was dark, so I drove a little slower, which means I wouldn't have my time back till 12:30. Well, I woke up about 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, sat around for a little bit, and then I was hungry. So I personal conveyed from the yard into town, ate, and then personal conveyed back to where I initially started my personal convey, and then went back off duty and finished out my time. According to the FMCSA, you can personal convey somewhere to eat, you can personal convey somewhere to get a hotel room, and you can personal convey to a safe haven. Back when I was Hotshot and I picked up a load in Washington, D.C., and by the time everything was done, getting out of D.C. into Maryland, I ran out of time. I had to pull over on the side of the road, go to personal conveyance, and it was like 15 minutes down the road before I got somewhere where I could actually stop for the night. And that's very acceptable, because anybody knows has been around D.C. and coming down to Maryland, there's nowhere to stop. There's nowhere to take 10 hours off around there. So that's a very good reason to use it. But you note it in your notes, just like the other day when I went and ate on personal conveyance. I noted that in my notes what it was. So if a DOT officer checks it, he can see, and I can be like, oh yeah, I went 1.6 miles into town, I ate 1.6 miles back, however it was. I'm just using that as an example. But to deliver your load, to personal convey from your house to Indiana, pick up, deliver in New York, wherever you're going, and then try to personal convey all the way back home, it's not going to work, because then once you go back on the clock, you're now at home instead of where you went on personal conveyance. Fair Winds and Falling Seas, he has a video out sometime back. He personal conveyed like 2.5 hours home. But then when he was done, he personal conveyed back to where he originally started from, and then picked up his time from there. So it was a 5-hour round trip, added miles, added time and all that to his stuff. But, he did it the way I feel it should be done. And he got an inspection shortly after that, and there was no issues. So, like I said, when you leave something open for interpretation, it can be interpreted a million different ways by people. So, my advice is don't leave it open for interpretation. Don't do things that, if you're sitting and wondering, well, am I going to get in trouble for this, or are they going to look at this and see that it's legit or that it was the right thing, then don't do it. Obviously, like I said, going to eat, You know, if you get up to Indiana and you're going to sleep in your truck, and then temperatures drop to below zero, and you decide you want a hotel room, then you can personal convey over to the hotel room, and it doesn't affect you, and it's not illegal. You know, so don't personal convey 100 miles and say, well, I had to get to a hotel room. That might only work when you're out west and you're actually 100 miles from a hotel. So, but like I said, this is the redo of the video, correcting and putting out proper information, because that's what we want to do. And I'll get this one back uploaded for you guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.